Back to the issue with you. Breaking news tonight after a decade-long investigation and arrest in the JonBenet Ramsey murder case.
John Mark Carr, 41 years old, was arrested for the murder of JonBenet Ramsey yesterday morning at approximately 6 a.m. in Bangkok, Thailand.
It's a day we've been waiting for 10 years, and I hope this is a first major step in really drawing this to a conclusion.
A stunning confession from the man arrested in Thailand for the murder of JonBenet Ramsey.
I was with JonBenet when she died. Her death was an accident.
So here was this guy, he was a teacher, he was in Thailand, and he surfaces out of the blue and confesses to the murder of JonBenet Ramsey.
When we saw that picture, that first picture of John Mark Carr, my initial reaction was, well, that's not what I expected. He was a slight man, a petite man, sort of delicate features, not what you would think about when you're thinking worried about the boogeyman breaking into your house and this intruder theory. He wasn't the intruder that I had in my mind.
Mainly what we know about this guy is that we don't know much.
Twice the maternal mortality rate as the nation in Mississippi.
Keep a close eye on those as they proceed.
Yeah, I want to come back and ask about those sanctions on Russia, specifically on the economic front. But before that, let me ask the flip side of the question, perhaps, on the inflation, and that is the possibility of recession. A lot of talk about that, as I'm sure you know. Bloomberg did a survey of 72 economists last week. It said 27.5% chance of recession in 12 months. Larry Summers came out and said if it's 27.5 in 12 months, it's a lot higher in 24 months. What are your projections for a recession right now?
Well, we are we're monitoring all of those projections, and certainly economists are always in the projection business and always modulating their projections. I think when we look at the current economy and the current economic circumstances, what stands out globally is the degree of resilience in the American economic recovery. So we are facing a lot of uncertainty. We're facing rocky waters right now, but the United States is probably better positioned than any other major economy to navigate effectively through them. Why is that? Strong economic growth, strong household balance sheets, a strong American consumer, and an incredibly strong labor market. So those are strengths that we have on our side that you are seeing less so in other major economies, which I think is why the risk is elevated more so in other economies than our own. But look, these are all risks that we have to navigate through. We have to keep a close eye on, and as we were talking about before, the more that we can work collectively to navigate these, for example, by helping to act collectively to put some downward pressure on the price of oil, the better.
So Brian, when you talk about the resilience of the American economy, does that mean it's different this time? I mean, again, Larry Summers, you know him well, you've worked with him. And it says, if you go back to World War II, it has always led to recession. We've been over 5% of the CPI and under 4% on unemployment. So it's 100% for recession. Do you think it's different this time?
Look, it's helpful to look historically, but it's also important to note that almost everything about this current recovery and this current economy is unique. We are coming out of a completely unique pandemic-induced shutdown and a pandemic-affected economic recovery through Delta and Omicron. The supply challenges we were just discussing of cross-border trade across water from Asia to the U.S. have affected our supply chains in ways that we've never had to navigate through before. And so just as the circumstances are unique that have gotten us to this point, you would expect that you'd see unique circumstances going forward. There's lots of elements about the supply bottlenecks that we're facing that, if we can resolve them, should start to have real moderating impacts on price pressures going forward in ways that wouldn't have been true in the past as well. So history is a guide, but we also really have to recognize the unique circumstances that we're in today.
And finally, Brian, I do want to come back to this huge story that we're all covering. I know you're following so closely at the White House, and that is what's going on with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Obviously, a lot of it's been on the ground and military, but there's also been a substantial economic component of it, led by the White House with our NATO allies. And I guess my question at this point is, from where you sit, from how you monitor your dashboard, it appears the Ukrainians at the moment have fought the Russians to a standstill militarily. Is Russia fighting the United States and our NATO allies to a standstill in terms of economy? The rubles come back, they cut their discount rate, and the $1 billion, I'm told, a day that they're getting out of Europe on energy really allows them to keep going for quite a while.
Like, absolutely not. The coordinated financial sanctions and economic steps that we have taken have surprised Vladimir Putin. They've surprised the world, and they've surprised the Russian economy in terms of their breadth and their severity. Anyone who looks at the Russian economy right now and says that they're in an okay place or they're fighting their way back just actually isn't looking at facts.
Алло,
Що там, сонце? Де ти?
я вже їду назад додому.
Окей, ти що купив в Costco?
Купив костку, значить, купив цього бараніну австралійську купив.
Окей, ти вже скоро будеш вдома?
Через 3 хвилини.
Хорошо, давай.
Окей.
Пошли далі на телефон.
Добре, я зараз буду через 3-4 хвилини. Я на Маунт Алберт зараз поверну.
Угу. Давай.
Бай.
That sanction package. That's the work that is underway. You've seen the president every step of the way working with allies and partners to try to keep this global coalition together. And we've surprised on the upside to date, and we're going to keep trying to do that.
Brian, so very good to have you with us today. Thank you for your time. That is Brian Deese. He's the director of the National Economic Council, coming to us from the White House. Coming up, it's our midterm election update with political contributors Rick Davis and Jeannie Shanzino. This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg Television and on radio.
The opinion of the European Union as a recommendation to the Council. It will be not as usual a matter of years to form this opinion, but I think a matter of weeks.
We'll be ready with answers, Ursula, in 1 week.
James Cleverly is the United Kingdom's Minister of State for Europe and North America and joins me now. It's so good to see you again, Minister. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you've been meeting at the State Department. What more can the U.S. and the U.K. do, who have taken the lead, for all of the weapons supply and the commitment of money? What more can you do for Ukraine in this short window before we believe Russia is repositioning to go after the Donbass with this brutal new general in charge?
Well, the UK and the USA have, unsurprisingly, been working very, very closely. We are very good friends and allies, have been for centuries. And once again, we're showing a real commitment with others to support the people of Ukraine and President Zelensky. What we need to do now is make sure that we double down on that support, to keep giving them the military equipment that they need to defend themselves and push back against the Russian invasion, to make sure that we provide them with the economic support to hopefully soon start rebuilding their country once this conflict is over. And we also need to make sure we continue that sanctions pressure on Russia. We need to continue doing these things, increase the intensity of those things, and actually give President Zelensky and the Ukrainians the tools they need to finish the job.
How important was Boris Johnson's visit? Walking in the streets with President Zelensky, did not appear to be wearing body armor, and was talking to people in the streets, signifying confidence, clearly, by your security officials that Kyiv is solidly under Ukrainian control.
Well, the Prime Minister and President Zelensky have developed, I think, a really strong working relationship, and quite a strong personal relationship over these last few months. And the images that we're seeing on screen showed how close they have become, but also it shows what the Ukrainians can do, given them the international support that the UK and the US and others have provided. They've pushed the Russians out of Kyiv. They've created a situation where our Prime Minister is able to walk around and greet people on the streets. That's fantastic. There is a lot more to do. And we've got to make sure that we help the Ukrainians finish the job, because they are fighting for something more than just their own territory and their own country. They are fighting for the values that the US and the UK hold dear. And it's really important that we support them in those efforts.
Despite the overwhelming advantages of Russia in terms of manpower and weaponry, do you think they can win?
Well, what the Ukrainians have showed us is not only are they willing to defend themselves passionately and tenaciously, but they are really willing and able to push back against the Russians. And we've got to give them that fighting chance. And that means supplying them with the arms, the Starstreak missiles, the NLAW missile systems, anti-aircraft missiles, anti-ship missiles, tanks, all those things they're asking for, we've got to supply them with. But we've also got to supply, we've got to keep supporting them through sanctions against Russia. And the UK and the US have been working really hard on that. It's fantastic to be here with close friends and allies.